Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jennifer Noreen and Gary Parker. We are back from our technical difficulties and happy to be here to talk about Gary Parker's why. I know you're all waited with
Does
anticipation.
anybody know what that means?
I didn't know what it meant when you asked me what my why was, but I think you're going to
Have
tell
you
us
read
about
the
that.
book?
I read most of the book when you told me I had to 5 years ago.
When I told you had to.
Yeah,
Do
well,
you live your why?
I think you bought it for me. I live my why, but I agree with. I think that it shifts sometimes. I think everybody's why shifts around. So,
Yes, it
but
does. You have to listen to yourself. Okay, so what is the why? The what do you man? How do you paraphrase a book, an entire book, in a couple sentences?
what is the
Um,
book and who's the author?
Simon Sinek, Know Your Why. And even before the book, Know Your Why, Simon did a very famous TED Talk back when TED Talks were first becoming um, a thing, actually. And, every now and again, we would me and a bunch of guys, we would listen to these things. And Simon spoke to me, right? Not literally, of course, but his message spoke to me because when you're a business guy, an entrepreneur, or a tech guy, you're rolling, right? There's so much chaos and there's so much confusion, and you just kind of get used to it, right? And you kind of lose track of why you do what you do, right? Everybody knows what they do, and everybody knows how they do what they do, but do you really know why you do what you do? All right, and this is one of the things, particularly for me, right, as I came into my third act of life, right. It was like, who am I now? Because I'm no longer tech genius, right, and I'm no longer blue collar guy that I was before tech genius, right. So who am I now, right? And so the answer that came back was entrepreneur and philanthropist, and that's what I've been working on for the last 7 years. But it all came about because I was looking for clarity, and I came across the Simon Sinek material, and it really made a lot of sense about how he was talking about it, and what my good friend Steve Jobs was his example that he used. Right, it was about how to and basically the why is about how to reposition things, right? Reposition perspectives. And for those that don't know, Steve Jobs was a really great marketing guy, and he knew how to change perspective on his products, and because of that, he became a disruptor in the industry. And the old boring PCs and things like that, they found their place and they had their niche, but everybody wanted the cool new whiz bangy thing, and that's how he kind of approached all the products that he did, from the iPod to the iPhone to the MacBook. And his secret to success was, how do I make it fun? No, that's kind of a diatribe. And then so what Simon does is Simon connects that, right? Connects that to the average person in his book, Know Your Why. So they just let you take that. That's a lot of processing. So
Yeah. So, is the company selling their product or service, or are they selling their purpose? Steve
yeah,
Jobs.
well,
Steve Jobs
it's about
was
all.
selling an experience, not a product, but he was selling an experience. So, if you're a company, are you selling your why, or are you selling your product or service? Does barbecue to you an experience of why, or is it amazing brisket?
It's yes. It's yes to all things, right? What is our philosophy at barbecue to you, right? We want you. We don't want to just feed you, right? Anybody can feed you, okay? But if you go by what Simon says in the book, that's kind of funny. Simon says in the book, I want you to come in and have a good experience. I want you, when you walk into my store, right? I want you to see things you haven't seen before, like authors corners, and 35 little beautiful old ladies playing bingo. You never know what you're going to see when you walk in barbecue to you. It's an experience, and I want you to know that I care about your day, right? What's going on, whatever was going on that bugged you and had you all worn out and tired and everything outside, leave it outside. Come inside and enjoy yourself, right? My guys will ask you, how's your day going? We care. Is there something I can do to make it better for you? Right? Why don't you just, here, do you need a Coke? Have a Coke. Right? We don't get wrapped around the axle about gives and gets, right? And we generally want to know how your day is going, what you're doing, and what can we do to help. And now bringing that back to your topic was that's remarketing something that that is generally very straightforward and bland and average, right? Into something that people want to go do. People might come into my store, right? Because they just don't want the same old anymore, right?
Yeah, there's lots of
Anyway,
places to
I feel
get
like
them.
I'm preaching and I'm talking and I'm not doing a very good webcast stuff, so I better be chipper and
No, you're
let you
fine.
ask me
I mean,
questions.
no, you're fine. I think that, I mean, I call it vibe. I think you guys sell your vibe, and I think you have a particular vibe compared to other restaurants and establishments around you. I mean, you certainly don't have the Ace Hardware vibe. You don't have the Greenhouse vibe. Those are beautiful places, but there's a barbecue to you vibe. And I think it's hospitality. It's caring about the person in front of you. It's putting someone's happiness over, 59 cents you might lose on a transaction. I think those are things I'm just saying in a different way, some of these things you're mentioning. And
Yeah,
I think that when you focus yourself as an owner around a why, and you lead your people around their why, and if you can get that to be the same thing, if you can find a common why, then you have a motivated team.
yeah.
That's a powerful thing.
So you come in and you see the thank yous on the wall. You see the authors in the corner, right? You see the smell. You receive the smells and the visions of Southern barbecue. And there's all this experience associated with it. And oh, by the way, I just happen to really make great barbecue. Do you want some?
Well, they pay for it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that's the why in a nutshell, is to know your why and know what you're doing. And then I expand on that, right? We over the years, right? So we've got the nonprofit, and we do the school takeovers, and we do all this stuff. But what's important to understand, when you see all that stuff on the wall, and you see all that stuff, happening, and you hear people talk about us and this kind of stuff, it's really the same basic message, right? Why are we there? We're there to provide relief, right? Relief from a crazy world that everybody right now is having to deal with. And for a few short minutes, or a little bit more than that, they can come into this hole in the wall place in this offbeat town in the far extreme edge of the lower 48, right? And find relief. That's the why.
Okay, so that's why you run your store the way you do. That's why you create the vibe you do. But why philanthropy at this time of your life? Why Gig Harbor? Why schools? Why kids?
Because they're the ones in need, you know.
Hmm.
Right? You always try to make your community better. If you study the chamber datas and stuff like that around this country, small business sets the tone for what a town is. Small business sets the tone for what a town is, right? So you got to think about, our little town here is a tourist and retirement community, right? It's a bedroom community, right? And we want it to be special. Well, one of the ways you get a community to be special is your small businesses build that, into the very fabric of the town,
Hmm.
right? That's what makes us different from a city, right? We're a town,
Hmm.
right? And we have a beautiful harbor, and we have wonderful food, and we have good charitable and benevolent people, right? And so it's a very fun place to be. It's a place you want to go. It's a destination. Now, if we didn't do that, if all of us at small business guys didn't do that and didn't do these kind of things, we'd be a pretty boring place, right? But
Yeah,
people like coming to the harbor because we do these things and we talk about how to do these things.
you're forming the personality of the city or town that you're in.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you have a footprint. Your business has a footprint that's projected from your values. And I've been in these really highfalutin corporate discussions with a company lately about local marketing and why you need to be relevant to your local community. And to me, that's very relevant. It's like you're not relevant to everyone who likes barbecue. You're relevant to the people in Gig Harbor that love barbecue and that miss Texas. I think the stories that you tell about, people walking in there and they smell the smells and see the things on the walls and they get emotional because it reminds them of the state they lived in that they loved.
Yeah.
So, to me, that you can call that local marketing, but really that's just you being relevant and showing off the personality of your values to the community.
Yeah, those things are powerful, right? When you see another human being walk into a store, walk into your store, and having a complete emotional breakdown because they miss home so bad, right? That you just gave it to them. You just gave them an oasis, while they're in the desert, right? And that was because of you and what you did and your staff does, right?
Yeah.
That's a special feeling, right? And that's what makes a business successful inside of a community. That's what makes a business a landmark in a community.
Mm-hmm. So what would you tell a business owner who doesn't have this integrated into their soul of their business, and they want to start figuring out their why and they want to project that out to their team? So are there some practical things that you can do? Or do you talk about it at a meeting? How do you project these values to your team so that when you bring on a new employee, they understand the vibe you're projecting and the values that you have?
Well, with the boys or with the kids, it's easy. I just look at them and I say, how do you like to be treated? And if you're not treating our customers the same way that you like to be treated and feel, right, then you haven't mastered it yet. And I always use yet. Right. There's another book that I ever told you about, which is The Power of Yet. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so when you're coaching and you're instructing, right, and these kinds of things, you need to always speak with yet. All right. I have these three little words that just control everything, right? Must be crazy. Anyway, so you just haven't mastered.
Well, wait a minute. So why yet, and what's the other one?
We'll get to it one day. And but just go with that. One of these days, maybe we'll talk about the power of yet. But it's a way that it originally started. To give you a background on that, real quick, it really originally started with a psychologist that I knew, and she was working with young people in school that were not doing so well, and she developed a technique of instead of talking to the young ones in that very binary of pass fail type of a language, she created the language of yet, right? And so she would walk up to somebody that was obviously doing very bad and couldn't do it, and you could see their brain starting to shut down and all these kinds of things, but they wouldn't do that with her because she would look at him and says, "That's a nice try, but you're not quite there yet," right? Which keeps the mind open, right, to go try again and to learn something new and so forth. And so when you speak with the young ones, right, it's always all about yet, right? Because so what you're doing is you're projecting. I know you're going to do it. I know you can. It's just just a matter of time till you get there. So don't treat people like you don't want to be treated. And if you're struggling to project yourself, then that's fine. You're just not there yet. Practice. Right. Yeah. And by the way, here's 100 customers that want barbecue in about the next 10 minutes, and you've got plenty of practice, right? I'll see you in a little bit, right?
Yeah.
That's for the young ones, friends, other business people, chambers, stuff like that. Of course, we talk about it at different levels when people's minds are open to it. It's been harder lately, with the economies and things like the turmoil that goes on out in the real world. It's really getting harder to get people to think in a very clear and open mind. So things like yet and things like why are really the answers, right? But you got to get people to relax a little bit and start to accept some of these conversations, and then they see once they start to see their opportunity, it just builds on itself. It's like a flower that blossoms. Right?
Mm-hmm. So have you
been driven by economy, right? You're trying to run a business, and it's very hard to let go of the fact that prices just went up 30%. Oh well, I can't raise the menu price, and I can't do this, so I better figure out something. And I've got these hard decisions that are just popping you every day. It's there's another technique that I was taught a long time ago is reserve time for strategic thought, right? And I don't see people following that rule very much either, but I do, right? Yeah, I get away. I'll get away. It'll be a Saturday or it'll be a Sunday or Wednesday afternoon for all that matter. And I go off and I don't worry about all the problems of the world. I'll smoke my cigar or do whatever I'll do, right? But I'm thinking strategically, right? And that helps you get back into the knowing your why and knowing your yet. Right?
Yep. Go back to ground zero and start over
Right.
if you have to.
Yeah.
Do things that are relevant and get rid of things that aren't working, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So have you seen this affect other cultures? Like I know that you have a background in technology and it sounds like you did some other things even before that, but I assume you ran into this philosophy when you were in tech and you were running a team. So can you
Absolutely.
talk a little bit about how it's impacted other corporate cultures you've been in? Because I'm sure we have
Yeah.
some of those people watching this.
Yeah, a lot of this solidified. There was a point in the tech career where I was managing teams that were across 5 different countries at once, right? So I'll put it into perspective for you. You've got people in China, you've got people in India, you've got people in Bangalore, Mexico, and then you got people on the East Coast, and you got people in the West Coast, and you got Israel. All right, and you're all trying to make them work as one team, and there's many different personalities and there's many different cultures all embedded in that, but yet you're trying to do this extremely really complex thing, right? Like build microprocessors and things like this. And so you have to you have to communicate in a way where things are simple and motivating, right? And successful directors and things, we were all taught how to think in these terms, so to speak, right? So that we could take very, very complex topics and break them down. And then when things didn't exactly work right, you reinforce your trust in people, right? By these outrageous acts of trust. I know you just screwed up and da 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 da, and then there's all this negativity that I could go down as the fearless leader of the gang here, but I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna just sit with you and I'm going to help you work through it. But you take these really complex things and you break them down. So you learn to speak in why and you learn to speak in yet, and you keep people moving forward. And what you would find out if you could witness it, is all the cultural stuff will disappear and it just becomes the human that you're working with, right? And then all the dysfunction and frustration of the moment and stuff will go away, and suddenly you're all over and you're happy. Da, 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 da. I'm chipper.
Yeah. I just worked over at the holiday with an offshore team, and everybody wanted to be with their families at the holiday. Everybody wanted to have their evenings off. Nobody wanted to work on the weekend. And you find ways to, motivate people around your common why. Why are we all here working late? Why are we working, through a holiday or whatever? But I agree with you. When you work multiculturally, you have to find the shared why. Everybody wants to have time with their family. Nobody wants to do an insane amount of overtime, all the things. So yeah, I love that. And I agree. And it's complete waste of time to stay in the mediocrity of what went wrong and all that. It's like, what's the solution, right?
Yeah.
So
because by the time you figured out it went wrong, it's already history, baby. You're not going to do anything about it.
Right,
it's written in the books.
Right.
You can only go forward.
Right. So would you still recommend his book, or is there another book, Simon Sinek's book, or is there another book that you would recommend?
And he's got lots of works and he's tried to expand this work, but in my opinion, nothing's as good as that TED Talk, which is probably the most viewed TED Talk ever, and then followed up by this book. It makes complete sense, right, about what it is and what he's saying, and I see it in spades with the thousands of people, right, that I work with on all kinds of projects still to this day, right, and I have to help people come out of these highly binary tactical modes and understand that perspective is everything on complex problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and creating consensus and moving together as a team around purpose. Yep. Well, I love it. This has been great stuff. This is great to hear. We encourage you to go buy Simon Sinek's book, even though it's been
Yeah,
around for a while. Still
but we
relevant.
didn't talk about barbecue today.
Well, what does any of this have to do with barbecue?
Barbecue's still number one.
So what's going on at the store there in Gig Harbor, Gary?
Oh, we're having fun. We were coming, we've come through the winter, or we're pretty much through the winter now. We're trying to get our catering in place, right? So if you have your graduation parties and end of quarter parties for the businesses, et cetera, now it's a good time to get on the calendar because summer weekends, July, August, all those weekends are already full. Okay, for some of that stuff. August is a good time. During the week, we still have lots of Sunday dates that are open. But if you got a wedding or if you got some kind of big party or something coming up, it's best to get with me now, right? Because we get pretty full pretty quick, right, throughout the year. Midweek stuff for businesses. Oh, that stuff is so easy right now because everybody's booking the weddings and the weekends are filling up because of the weddings because Saturday's the day, right? Graduation party is on a Saturday because that's the day. But man, the work parties, the get-togethers, the strategic events, that happen on Thursdays and Tuesdays, and this kind of stuff. We love to do those, and we have lots of those dates open, so we want to try to encourage the companies and stuff to reach out to us. Funnest one we did last year. Oh, I got to tell you guys a story. The funnest one we did that's along that line to reinforce it was the bus rodeo at Pierce County, at Pierce Transit. That was an event right there, and we had about 200, 300 drivers or employees of that, and these drivers are taking these buses through these obstacle courses, and that was an absolute hoot to watch that and party with these people and bring joy into that space, right? And we spent the afternoon just having a good time. They wouldn't let me drive one of the buses though. I wanted to drive one of the buses, and they couldn't let me do that, so I was a little disappointed. But
so it was a bus rodeo, and it was a party.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like a summer picnic, but they do a competition who can drive the bus the best, right? And so you got this gigantic parking lot with these gigantic buses, and you got all these cones and this course all set up, and they're zooming down this way, and they're doing 3-point turns like you would do in your car without bumping the cones, and they've got for as big as these machines are, they've got this mastery of manipulation on them, right? And so it's a lot of fun. But that's what I'm talking about. I mean, we have all kinds of fun stuff like that. We've got we get we have another big vitamin factory here close by, and they always call us. And they set up a big carnival kind of thing out in their parking lot, and that's a hoot to do. We have a boat manufacturer, that has 2 locations, and we do both of those with them, in the summer. And so these things are so much fun to do. And so I just encourage more people to do it. People like barbecue in the summer. They like to have these outings, get out of the conference rooms and these kinds of things. So call me. I'll come out there. I'll set up the tent, and I'll get all the barbecue ready for you, and you and your employees just have fun.
Yeah, sounds good. And you're saying that the weekends are booked with that during the week corporate event. Those are dates and times that are more available and easier to schedule.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they are some fun.
Yep. So are you still doing the, just to change away from catering, are you still doing the senior bingo and the senior movies? And
absolutely. Yeah. Senior bingo every Tuesday, 3 to 4. We've expanded it. We now do it twice a month on Fridays over at the local parks administration building, and we do it over there because we can hold more people. So we'll do about 50, 60 people in the bigger room, and we also play for 2 hours on those. So we're still doing all that. We still do the senior movie, the free movie at the Galaxy, which is the last Friday of every month. Those are lots of fun. We're getting ready to watch on the 28th. We're getting ready to watch The Proposal. We brought Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds out and Betty White out of the archive, and we're going to show that one on the big screen again.
Really funny movie. Love it.
We've got Larry Fowler in the store this week from the authors. He wrote the Lincoln books, and rumor has it that he's got now a fourth one getting ready to come out. So the set is continuing to grow. It's very popular, because Larry was the author that I worked with to actually start doing that there in the store back during the COVID year. So yeah,
he
we've got
was
that.
one of the original authors.
He is the original author, right? And then we have Baseball Bob. Baseball Bob will be in closer to the end of March as the major league play kicks off, right? And and then we have for the counter takeovers, all 52 weeks now throughout the year are filled, from everything from we don't have another weekend to spare, and so now people are waiting in line for somebody that can't make it or a dropout and that kind of thing.
So
right?
every week you're in the store, there'll be another organization that you can donate your receipt to, and 10% of that receipt value goes to that organization. And it's fully booked for this year. So your opportunities are next year.
Next year, or if somebody can't make it, and which does happen, by the way. So that's the reason we keep that standby list going, because we don't want to waste a week.
Right.
Sometimes I choose not to do one. I'll rearrange somebody. Things like here coming up, and at the end of March, we'll be closed for half a week. When we do our spring cleaning, and that's when I have to take the pits apart and have the fire teams and all that kind of stuff come in and check the equipment, and so if somebody loses a couple 3 days on that, then it's not worth it to them. So I'll hold off on those days. But other than that, we have that thing going year round now.
Wow. And are you also going to celebrate a store anniversary coming up here as well, right? On the 3rd?
Well, me, and I don't do anniversary parties per se, right? I just like working hard, and I'm proud to that March 2nd will be 7 years. Actually, the 27th of this month. That's when we did the soft open. But we officially recognize our anniversary, our 7th anniversary, on March 2nd, which is when. What is special about March 2nd?
It's when Barbecue 2 served its first brisket.
No, it's Texas Independence Day.
Oh, of course it is. I knew that. Sure. Well, that's quite a milestone. That's exciting. Well, Thank you. Thanks for your share about knowing your why and spreading that why to your team and your community. And thanks for your comments about yet. I love that. I think we should cover that in a future video. If you have questions or want to chat with Gary about what his why is or the things he shared today, you can certainly leave a comment or email him at gparker@texasbbq2u.com. You can always call the store for catering. I don't know what else to mention here. I think that's it, but good to see you, and we'll see you next month.
See you later.
Thanks, Gary.
Bye.